All right, welcome back to the MetaMinds podcast, where we're all about relentless self-development
and consciousness optimization.
We've never actually done that before, but it worked out in that one. That's nice. So, and today we are going to talk about healthy entrepreneurship for millennials. And this is very important to both Dan and myself because we have both dabbled in several different businesses, and obviously MetaMinds is a business of our own as well. And it's very important, I think, because it's such a hot topic right now.
Yep.
Entrepreneurship and building your own empire, especially as a millennial. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Do you want to touch further on that?
I guess it's the ideal thing that's packaged and marketed online now, especially through YouTube with all of these influencers who become successful. You've got people who literally gained a career from an app called Vine, and then Vine disappeared, but these people continued their celebrity status over to other platforms, and it's just becoming more and more saturated, but also easier to try it. At least put your foot, like dip your toe in the pool as such. There's so many tools out there, so many social networks, and you never know what social network could make you pop as such, I guess. And
there's so many weird niche businesses that you could make like giraffe toys, and everyone loves it, and you could just become this worldwide empire because of this thing. Yeah. But the thing is, you don't have to, have any particular skills or recognized skills by any kind of, a university or anything like that. You can just go, I love making giraffe toys, and shouldn't have said my great business idea. We got to stop this. We actually making it. But there's so many niche businesses. You can do anything you want. And I guess the other thing that I'm saying is that you don't have to have a qualification of any kind of skill to actually go into entrepreneurship. Exactly, you can just say, this is my skill, and this is my example of my skill.
Yep.
You can hire me for my skill. And that's why it's so hot right now, because digitally it's so easy to become an entrepreneur. And obviously, who doesn't want to work for themselves? No one wants to work for the man. And the 40-hour work week, I think is going to be phased out very, very quickly.
For sure, yeah.
As predicted partly by Tim Ferriss with the 4-hour work week, basically working remotely and all these different kinds of things, basically technology is changing a lot, and there's a lot more opportunity for entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people dabbling in entrepreneurship, especially millennials. I've tried several different businesses myself.
Yep.
But the other thing is, as you mentioned, there's a lot of gurus on the internet that are happy to sell you a course, because obviously the online course market is very, very popular at the moment as well. And that's not to, invalidate that, because it's a very, very valid form of education. Again, you don't need a qualification nowadays. But a lot of these gurus potentially don't actually, they're selling you a lie. Yep. They're selling you a dream. They have a Lambo in the garage that they rented, basically, but they're still living at the mum's house or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Not everything is fact.
100%,
and a lot of people are selling that on the internet. And got to be damn careful, man, because I've found myself in so many sales funnels now.
That's it.
They're like, watch my live webinar, and I'm like, I'll give you 5 minutes. And 5 minutes in, I'm like, nah, you're just going to sell me a course.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, they're learning that they actually have to provide this extreme amount of value to actually get your attention now, which is really good.
It. I'm amazed you put in 5 minutes. A lot of people only put in 10, 20 seconds, and they're like, nah, this isn't for me.
And sometimes I watch them all.
Yeah.
And you can't skip through them or whatever as well.
No.
Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Well, I wanted to touch on a point you mentioned earlier on about, you may have a skill that you have that you want to focus on, but I do want to mention that you don't necessarily have to have a skill at all. You could literally outsource a lot of your work. If you're passionate about something and you think you can make a difference, then you can outsource. And I've got a perfect example with my clothing brand. So I created the clothing brand Eye in the Sky to create a drone-inspired clothing brand, but I'm not artistic at all, right? I can't draw, but I kind of have a vision of what I would like to see, and I'm also very good at collaborating with people and asking what the community wants. So that's an example of me not having a skill as an artist, but having the know-how, or even just having just the willpower to try it and go, well, I can outsource the designs to these guys, I can outsource distribution to Teespring, and the rest is on my hands, and I can do the marketing and everything else. So what I'm trying to say is, don't always put too much pressure on yourself to have to do everything or have to have a skill. If you're passionate about it, but you don't know 100% how to get into it, then look into it. There's probably an audiobook or a podcast or someone that can like instill a bit of excitement in you.
Well, let's not give away all the gold.
Yeah, sorry.
But no, you're right. Like, and that's e-commerce. But like, I just want to call you out there a little bit. You do actually have those skills, and you mentioned them.
Yeah.
You have the skills to engage with the community, and the skills to actually create. To go out of your way to actually create this product in this niche market and create this e-commerce. Basically, like there is skills involved. Let's not play that down. Basically,
no.
But what you're saying is you don't have to have traditional skills, I suppose.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the skills that you think you might need.
Well, that's it. Yeah,
which
you
is
can
good.
complement what you know with other people's skills.
Yeah. But we've seen, especially, you and I have talked a lot about how we've seen a lot of not so healthy entrepreneurship. And again, this falls under the gurus on the internet who are selling you their online course, which some of them are valid, some of them are not. And I've also purchased a couple of online courses, which I've got extreme amount of value out of, but some of them not so much. And they cannot be very cheap sometimes as well,
No.
But yeah, so what are some other, I guess we're talking about positives and negatives now, which is our second point.
Right.
What are some other examples of some of the positives and negatives of
entrepreneurship? So the positives for me personally would be, there's a few. I mean, I'm really passionate about creating. I'm really passionate about connecting. So one of the positives is feeling like I'm creating a community and feeling like I'm connected with people. So for me, like I open up all of my social networks to be able to talk to people. And I've had lots of viewers in the past who have spoken to me and even just asked for advice on just life advice or asked for how to start making videos or whatever. And to me, like I love creating the content and being able to like push myself, but connecting with people is the thing that keeps me coming back. So that's the big positive for me. Obviously the fact that I can be monetized through YouTube and through Amazon is the thing that enables me to keep going forward. But the thing that will keep my mind moving forward when I have a rut or when I don't get the views is the viewers and the people that connect with me on a day-to-day. So that's a big positive for me, being able to connect with people all over the world with my phone, basically.
Yeah. And make a positive impact while you also make money.
Yes, yeah.
Which is huge. And that may not be your intention, you may go into it just wanting to make money.
Yeah.
But the fact is, in this day and age, if you want to make money, you actually have to provide something of value to people.
Sure, yeah.
Not all the time, I've seen people make money on e-commerce businesses that I'm like, really, that's selling? But it is,
Yeah, but that's it. You've got to care. You've got to genuinely care about what you're doing and the people in your community.
Or not even necessarily that, but like, you have to see where there is a value gap in the market and provide some sort of value in there that is of higher standard than anyone else in that particular niche trying to provide value, which you have done with Eye in the Sky clothing,
yeah.
for example.
And then another thing which is interesting is, I agree with that, but then the problem with having that mindset is then you could get yourself in a funnel where there's no future proofing. So if in my mind I go, I'm going to create a clothing brand for drone pilots because I see a gap, but then I don't see longevity. I don't see where, because for example, drones, where are they going to be in 10 years? I've thought about that stuff and I've thought, well, then I'd have to rebrand it or I'd have to create something different. Or, in my mind, I recognize that the racing drones will still be a big thing. And I think that's going to be a big, like, not an e-sport, but it's like a sport basically at that point. And that's kind of where my mind's going. I'm thinking future-proof because if I just thought there's a gap in the market, I'll just drop in, I might not have had that foresight, hindsight, not hindsight, foresight, I guess it would be, to look into the future. Because to me, that's important. And that's something that a lot of these entrepreneurs will say. It's like you have to care about the product, think about the future, have future proof in mind, but also recognize that gap is something that you care about. Because I feel like if I was doing something I wasn't passionate about, I would not have my heart in it. With Eye in the Sky, I'm like really passionate because I see that these people love the clothes and they're flying their drones in competitions, and it's like, that's so sick. They're actually wearing gear that I've created.
Yeah. For sure.
So
Look, I'm totally on that side. I was just playing devil's advocate. I'm totally for you. Like, then people, actually believing and caring in the product that they're providing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, for example, there is a lot of gaps in, for example, like lawn care businesses, and you may not necessarily love lawn care. I suppose you could like listen to, MetaMind's podcast while you're doing it. But, there's gaps in that market where you could go into that with little to no money and make a good amount of money by doing work for yourself.
True, yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to be, completely passionate about that thing.
Yeah.
Listen to one podcast, shout out The Sweaty Startup, and he talks a lot about these things, whereas like a lot of people are doing these digital businesses, which again is one of the positives and negatives that we're kind of talking about. But also for that reason, there's a lot of people that aren't doing as many physical businesses, and I don't mean physical as in like opening a real estate agency or whatever. but actually going out and doing these sweaty things. And that's basically his podcast is like, you don't necessarily have to do this thing that you're like super passionate about, but you can just open this thing where you physically go and do a thing like selling like timber for people's fires in the winter or whatever it is. There's one example that he gives.
Yeah.
It's a sweaty way to just go around and do it, and you can make a lot of money doing it.
That's a great idea.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's a little bit off track, but I suppose that leads into one of the negative things that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Is that the opposite of that is that, well, you love what you do with Eye in the Sky Clothing, and, you know, you get to, it's on your own time and you get to make money doing what you love and all this kind of thing. The other side of that is that you have to keep yourself positive all the time.
Yeah.
You have to figure it all out by yourself.
Yeah.
And you, run into a lot of problems that you have to, again, figure out. There's fires, like metaphorical fires that pop up that you have to put out by yourself. And, you know, we find our own mentors through the internet, through online courses and through audiobooks and things like that, which is fantastic. But more often than not, it's not specifically driven to the problem that you have, and sometimes it can be hard to find that information. Definitely. Can you talk about a bit of like your struggles potentially in
I think
some of those areas?
That's something I've definitely noticed, even from starting YouTube videos and then going into the clothing side of things. It's just troubleshooting. Like, you as an entrepreneur have to be able to try different things and be able to troubleshoot different scenarios, because like you said, a lot of the information is out there on Google, but you still have to dig for it, and then you have to apply it to yourself and your business. And a lot of the time you have to liaise with a lot of different people or try to figure out how that would work in a different kind of situation. And I guess an example of that, I just had a bit of a brain blank.
That's how it goes.
But I guess with like the YouTube side of things, I was always kind of struggling with like who to connect with and who to collaborate with and stuff. And, you know, that was kind of an issue for me. And I kind of just set myself in the zone of like, well, I'll just keep creating content and try to make it stand out and try to put a lot of energy into like thumbnails and titles and do a lot of research into like what tags work and what titles stand out. And then I started using tools, I can't think of the name, I think it's Google Search, where I'll actually tell you what's being searched on Google. So I'll use that a bit. I also have audience development meetings with my network to break down what trends are happening, what algorithms are going on. But then I found myself, when I went into the drone clothing side of things, that really opened me up to collaborate, because it allowed me to send these shirts out to people or give people discounts and really give them a voice so that I could share a picture of them on the page, then bring some people back to theirs. And it's created like a community that I'm really happy with. And that was kind of just through troubleshooting time and time again, trying to figure out like, you know, what people respond to well. Like, I recognized that giveaways people responded to well. So I recognized early on that that's how I'd start my shirt business. I'd be doing giveaways. I'd be sending stuff to influencers. And that's something I probably wouldn't have recognized if I didn't go through all those troubleshooting stages and struggled with collaborations and struggled with all of these different things. So yeah, it's just really troubleshooting. Like, time and time again, I just keep building on top of new ideas and building on my knowledge to try to get to a certain point.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think like another thing is, you know, I've dabbled in 3 or 4 different businesses now, 2 of which have been like entirely my own basically. And I've failed a lot. And I think like the way you have to learn is through failing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, troubleshooting. I think that's a good word for it, because, you know, as mentioned, you have to do all of it, right? So you have the idea, you have the vision, you have to execute on the idea and the vision, then you have to do the sales and marketing, and then you have to also like execute on the product, basically. So you're doing this whole spectrum of everything.
Yeah.
And that can be overwhelming and hard. And obviously, you know, you go into it. My first business was a videography business, and I still run that business. And well, I love making videos for clients. Those videos have to be results driven, and then you also have to like sell. You have to get a client on board and sell them that product, and you have to prospect before that. You actually have to find people, like a pool of people that you might want to work with in the niche that you want to help, and just all these different things. Basically, it's never the one thing that you're passionate about. You're passionate about drones, right? But I'm sure there's a lot of different things that you go through that like you don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
And this is with everything in life.
For sure. I mean? Yeah.
You can love one thing, but there's always going to be at least 20, 30% of something example. That you like hate about it before you'd actually get the results in it. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing, is that you have to do pretty much all of it. And yeah, it's going to take a very, very long time is the largest part. And, you know, if you listen to any other influencers and entrepreneurs in the space, basically Gary Vee or anyone like that, they will tell you work and it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And
Be persistent.
It's true, persistent.
It's true, yeah.
But the hardest part about that is keeping a positive attitude.
That's
because
100% right, yeah.
1 month you have a couple of different clients, but then another month, like a client abuses you because they're having problems in their marriage or whatever. No, that's not a specific example.
Yeah.
But you know,
some factors are changing the way they interact with you. Yeah.
And so, that because it's your own business, you're like, oh, I guess I'm doing pretty good, and maybe I'm making it happen, kind of thing. And then this one negative thing happens, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, right, never mind. I'll just quit my business and I'll get a job because I hate this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that thought is going to come to you no matter what. And the hardest part is being like, no, shut up. It's fine. Stay positive. Keep going and doing that thing.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've basically not quit, but basically just stopped taking relentless action for a while because something negative has happened. I'm like, oh, what was this? This is just pointless, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's beating down my attitude. It's so hard to keep a positive attitude, especially when you're the only person that has this vision that you want to make happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, do you have any examples for people out there of when you've hit those roadblocks, how you've come through them?
Yeah. So, I mean, in sales and marketing, so like, you know, I guess may as well jump into some of the pieces of gold at the end is that like, yeah, a lot of both Dan and I have tuned a lot of the content that we consume to be very positive audiobooks, entrepreneurship audiobooks, self-development audiobooks.
Yep.
And yeah, so I've been through stages and sales and marketing has been a huge one for me because I love executing on the product and I'm very confident in my ability to actually provide a high quality product that will get results. But the actual getting clients on board, going into a sales meeting and selling my product, like I'm quite good at it, but it's something that I resent and I'm like, oh, like I have anxiety around that thing. I'm like, I don't really want to do that thing. What is it, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've definitely had slumps where you go through it and you don't really want to do sales and marketing this week. And then you're like, why is my business stagnant? It's like, because you haven't actually taken action on this particular thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of actually overcoming it, it's just actually recognizing what it is, having a good structure for your business of exactly what steps you need to take to execute on things.
Yep.
And if you've been in any sales job or any job ever, they will give you KPIs, key performance indicators.
Yep.
And it wasn't until 6 months ago or whatever, I've been running this business for 8 years now, whatever. It wasn't until about 6 months ago that I actually wrote down some KPIs for myself. That I was like, execute on these KPIs weekly or monthly. And it's like, for example, weekly, I have to get in contact with 30 new prospects, 30 new potential clients. And that's one key performance indicator that if I close 2 of those clients per month, then I'm going to be making my monthly quota or whatever.
Yep.
And if I actually abide by that key performance indicator, but like then I'm actually going to take the action to get the results basically. But because I didn't have that structure initially, I was like, what's going wrong? Why am I not making those sales? Like, why am I not where I want to be? And it's like, well, because you're not doing the basic, obvious pillars, the foundation of your business, which is actually taking the action that you need to take. So you need to make it a very clear thing for you to do, basically. Break everything down in your business and go, these are the actions that I need to take to get these results, and this is what's going to happen in the middle. And it needs to be clear so that every day, I use Trello. Every day I go on my Trello board, basically. If you haven't used Trello for any kind of productivity, then check it out.
Yep.
It's an app and it's on the computer. It's fantastic. But basically, one of the boards basically that I go onto are my KPIs or like what I need to do today in order to get the results that I want to get, either this month or over my lifetime, basically, and then take action on that. And it's very clear and simple. And that's been a huge thing for myself, basically. Do you have any examples?
Yes, I do. I would say, like you said, swapping the content I consume was a big thing. I think having a bit more accountability, like you're saying, I've never written down KPIs. I do love that idea of future-proofing yourself or thinking ahead as such, or thinking towards goals. For me, I don't really have like a quota of how many posts I'm going to do on Instagram or posts I'm going to do on here. For me, I just make myself accountable within myself. It's a weird thing. Like I'm hard on myself about things. If I haven't released something on a certain network, I will think about it. If I'm trying to relax, I'll think about it, and it'll get deep within me, and I'm like, I need to do something about it. So for me, I think it's just over time I've trained myself to kind of. It's probably not healthy, I guess, because it's like I'm making myself feel bad for not posting something. But it would be the same effect with the KPI, because it's like that anxiety of like, oh, I need to do that thing, but it's actually written down as a tangible thing, where mine is more of a feeling. It's like, I haven't posted something, I should do that. So I try to balance it, but that's kind of how I go about it. I guess making myself accountable, because no one else is going to make me accountable. No one cares that I'm making videos.
No one cares about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I've got to make myself accountable. And still making it fun, I think. I think that's one thing. Like, I try to future-proof, and I try to think about what I'm going to do next, but trying to keep it fun. Like, I enjoy the journey of talking to people, even though it is, you know, the 80% of the time where I'm not creating, I'm connecting with people. Some people say that's not an enjoyable time, but I like, especially on the Eye in the Sky, like connecting with these pilots and finding out their stories. And since listening to more of these audiobooks and thinking about a personal brand and thinking about how to make me more personable and how to make them their own hero as such, which is the story brand idea. I guess that is something that's now in my forefront of like, this isn't the way I'm marketing it is kind of like, hey, I just did this video, check it out. But I need to market it more of like, hey, I know that you were thinking about buying this thing. Here are my thoughts, or, you know, whatever. It's just trying to market it in a way that it really hits with their psychology and their mind, and then really ignites something in them, if that makes sense, I guess. That's kind of where I'm at now, of kind of creating a brand that connects and really like stands out as such, which is what I'm trying with the Eye in the Sky and the little bit with the Entrepreneurship. Well,
that's a huge point there, is that like actually understanding marketing and getting that right. And you know, that's a very broad thing to do, because what is marketing and what parts of marketing do you have to understand? But just understanding actually how you need to communicate your product to your customers. It's just that simple in that. So yeah, what Dan just mentioned there, Building Your Story Brand, I believe is the book.
Building Your Story Brand. Great.
Listen to that audiobook, or even just go to the website and it will tell you like a huge chunk of all you need to know. I also actually went to the website.
You did?
We do that. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool. Yeah.
And you essentially make a brand script. And this guy's a movie script writer and has been a writer for X amount of years, 40 years or whatever. And he just built this book. And basically you need to communicate your value to your audience through essentially story, because this is the thing, like I keep coming back to, there's been a big theme that I've realized recently, is that humans connect with story. This is why movies exist. This is why any kind of media exists, everything, because humans love story. Basically, you know, the Aboriginal cave paintings from 40 million years ago, whatever it is, that's a horrible year. But anyway, basically that's why they were all telling stories, you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Anyway, a little bit off tangent there, but basically you need to figure out how you communicate your product to your audience, and it's most likely going to be through story and how they're the hero and you're the guide of that story, basically.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've covered some of the positives and negatives, and we just started to talk about the tools. Do you have any other tools that you think are very important?
Yes. I think you mentioned Trello for organization.
Huge.
For me, I'm a bit more of a pen and paper kind of person. So if you're not into that,
example.
If you're not into that, then write down your actual plans or thoughts. Like I've got over near my computer just a list of videos I need to make or want to make. And I'll write them in big letters. So it's like, that's something that is piercing me. Like I can see it when I'm typing on the computer. So I'm like, that makes me feel accountable. So that's how I think I make my accountability work. Because I have so many websites I access, I think Trello would fall below for me and I wouldn't access it all the time. So yeah, depending, like get to know yourself. Are you a visual learner, or like, do you like the tangible writing for taking down notes? I would say social networks, there's so many out there. And one thing that Gary Vee is all about is trying to find the next big social network. So for me, recently, TikTok has been something that
Dan's on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen, and he loves it.
I'm absolutely addicted to it. And it's just crazy. Like I made a video the other day, a basic little video with a camera, the Osmo Pocket, swapped it around, had a funny little caption thing, 1.2 million views. And then I contacted people through there and they were asking questions. I said, if you want more information, check out my YouTube channel. So it's that whole idea of trying to funnel people back to your primary pillar or your primary point of content. So for me at DanceTube, YouTube is the main thing, because that's where I get affiliate links and where I get AdSense, right? And I still need to grow the other ones to create a personal brand, but you need to think, you don't have to, but in terms of monetization and future-proofing your business, you need to think about ways that you can grow that and what is your main pillar and what's the thing that's going to be most profitable for you, I guess, or advantageous. So yeah, there's lots. Instagram is fantastic for marketing. You can connect with people. Twitter's fantastic because you can actually search for location, gender, or something really specific. So I just recommend dabbling in a few of them, seeing what really clicks with you and really clicks with your brand.
And be consistent across all.
Platforms.
Which is, again, easier said than done.
Yeah, that's it.
Something that's been huge for myself, and we've said this on almost every podcast now, is to get a mentor.
Yes.
And so your mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you engage with on a day-to-day basis, like a physical person that knows who you are. It can just be, for example, Gary Vee or one of these entrepreneurs that you listen to all their books and you consume all their content. They are a mentor to you, whether or not in real life or not. So you can take on digital mentors, or you can actually take on mentors through online courses and things like that. A lot of them offer mentorship programs along with the program.
Yep.
And so I've been through a couple of different mentors as well, and I've learned a lot from those people. And some of them have just been digital mentors that I've taken on by myself and decided to consume all their content. Some of them have been physical mentors who I actually talk with on a day-to-day or a month-to-month basis to do with my specific business and my specific business goals.
Yep.
And each have their different values as well. But the thing is, it's like, why bother just like tunnel visioning and just stuffing everything up and figuring it all by yourself, and then 15 years later finally like having a brand that's working for you or whatever. Like, you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. There's people that are just going to reframe things in your mind that you go, oh, of course, and it just takes off years and years of your journey to get to where you want to be. So mentorship is huge. And you can find mentorship in friends. Dan and I have conversations where like you'll say something and I'm like, oh, of course, and it just changed my perception on a situation.
That's the same with you,
So
that's kind of what I was actually going to say. Like the whole idea of surrounding yourself with people that are comfortable to challenge you and give you different ideas and ask you questions that normal people or the everyday conversation would not go into. So actually breaking it down. And it's really refreshing to have friends that, like yourself, who are actually trying to pursue something and are having the same struggles as me. Because you and I know 100% how hard it is within yourself internally to go, oh, I'm so crap. Like, I can't do this. It's just falling apart. And sometimes we get in those modes, and I 100% get in them. But then to be able to talk to you or to talk to someone who else is doing it and like, yeah, man, I know what you're feeling. Like, talk me through it. Tell me what's going on. Like, there must be a reason why that's happening. And that really does help. And sometimes it's even just being able to talk about it and put it out into the world. Sometimes you'll click within yourself and go, oh, that's what I need to do. But it's actually the process of saying it out loud and confidently, like, well, not even confidently, but just presenting it, like verbally putting it out into the world and listening to it yourself and going, oh, that's how I sound? Like, I'm complaining about this? Like, come on, get your stuff together.
Well, Dan, you're giving away gold from our next podcast, so why don't you just chill out a little bit, man? But no, you're right, though. And in that, if you have all of your friends aren't trying to be on this, entrepreneurial path, which more than likely it's not going to be that way because you surround yourself with people who are like yourself naturally, then like if you go, I'm struggling with this thing in my business, they just have no idea what you're talking about. So they're like, oh, okay, why don't you try this? And it's like, no, I'm not just going to go and drink beers. Anyway, that's a silly example. But yeah, so wrapping up, like, what are some rapid fire, healthy mindset
tips,
behaviors to have as a healthy entrepreneur for millennials?
I like it. Are we going back and forth?
Back and forth, yeah.
Okay, so gym.
Well, it doesn't have to be that quick.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so for me, it would be like fitness, being like, that is my mindful practice. I do a bit of meditation at night, but fitness for me.
Absolutely, mindfulness, meditation, surrounding yourself with great friends is fantastic. Relentless attitude. Self-development. Consciousness optimization. I'm just talking about MetaMinds now. Listen to MetaMinds. That's a good one. I found that's really helped me.
I think another really, really important thing is, work as hard as you can, but take a break. Please rest. You have to rest as well.
That was a huge one we didn't kind of touch on. It's not about resting as such, because your resting still could be achieving something.
Well, that's it.
But it doesn't. It's just about balance. You don't have to be achieving something in your business. You can go, I'm going to take a rest and actually go to the gym, because you're still achieving something. Not that you have to be that way, because you can just sit down and play video games or watch Game of Thrones. The ending was bad. Fight me. But balance is huge. I think that's a good one too. End it out on. So
sounds great.
Thanks, Big Dog. We don't shake our hand with our guests because they're not here. It's just us.
Just us today.
So thanks for watching. And if you have any struggles with entrepreneurship or any other comments on this, we would love to hear from you, either on Instagram or on YouTube. Let us know. And we will see you on next week's MetaMind podcast to get meta.
Definitely.
See you later.